Hi, today we're going to be making spinach artichoke dip. So while my artichokes are draining, I'm going to open up the can. I'll start getting the other ingredients together. It calls for about a 14-ounce can, and there's 13.75 ounces in this can, but that's close enough and that will work out just fine. It just takes a little while for it to drain. And while that's draining, we'll start adding the other ingredients. Take a 10-ounce bag or box of frozen spinach. Now what I have was actually from a 16-ounce bag, so we just use about 10 ounces of the spinach. And then we're going to add 2 cups of Parmesan cheese. And it's just a little bit short of 2 cups in your 1-pound container that you buy, so you can just add a little bit more. Now our artichoke hearts are going to be ready to cut. So you drain them here, and you want to cut them in, decent sized pieces. That helps give it a little bit more flavor. And when I'm cutting them, I'll take a long piece and cut it in half like that, and then maybe into about another like 1/2-inch pieces or so. This is one of the few recipes that I use the artichokes in. I have a Greek salad that I actually like to make, which also calls for artichokes. But my family didn't really grow up eating artichokes, so we've come to learn to eat some different things since we've been trying out some new recipes. And you can buy various sized artichokes, the small, large, medium, just depends what size you want to use. But they do come in about 14-ounce cans, so that's all that's necessary. Almost done with that part. Some of them don't always have the longer pieces, so you don't have as many small pieces to cut. Okay, so we're going to pour this into our dish that has the Parmesan cheese and spinach. Spinach is a really messy thing to work with. I did that ahead because when you drain it, it is just a messy consistency that gets all over your hands. I find it all over the sink, and when you're washing up things, it is just a real mess. So I like to get that done in advance. My son and daughter-in-law actually have it's like a compressor that you can put like a box of spinach or a bag in, and they'll put it in their refrigerator overnight. And it's like a plastic box that has this mechanism. So as they're sleeping, the spinach is actually getting all drained out. So it's really kind of a neat invention to use. So it takes away from all of that mess. And if you don't let your spinach sit out at room temperature, you get really cold hands when you're squeezing out all of that juice. Okay, so that's the first part of this dip. And now we're going to take 1 cup or 8 ounces. It's an 8-ounce package of cream cheese in our bowl. Put that in here. The rest of the cream cheese that's on the package. And then we're going to take 2/3 cup of sour cream. This sour cream happens to be the full percentage, 4% sour cream, but you can use the 2% or the low fat, whatever you prefer, works just fine. And then we're going to take 1/3 cup of, it calls for mayonnaise, but I actually like to use Miracle Whip, so that's what I use in my cooking. And then we're going to take 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. And sometimes I'm kind of lazy and I don't always use the fresh garlic. So you can buy the chopped minced garlic, which I think tastes quite good. And it's a lot easier, especially if you're in a pinch. You want to make something after work. This is an easy recipe if you're coming home from work and you need something quickly for an event that night, for, you know, if you need to go to a picnic, even a summer picnic, even though it's a hot appetizer, it's still just kind of a quick, nice appetizer to take, you know, for your event. Or if you are making several appetizers for a family event or, you know, something else, it's also nice. And what's nice with the minced garlic is I always have it in the refrigerator, so I don't have to worry about the whole, you know, garlic cloves spoiling or anything. So you can just stir that up. It's good to have your cream cheese at room temperature, so then when it's soft, it's all set to go. If it's a little bit lumpy here, that's okay. And then we've got that done, and we're going to add that to our spinach, artichoke, and Parmesan cheese mixture. Now, if you're trying to watch your cholesterol, this might not be the best appetizer, but then I always like to look at whatever we eat as doing it in moderation. So I would never obviously sit down and eat the whole spread here, but if you're just having this along with some other appetizers, you know, just to have a couple crackers with this, you know, before you might have your main meal, then it works out just right. It seems like it's going to be a little bit dry, but then as you get it all mixed up, it comes out to be just the right consistency. And I have actually made this ahead and frozen it. I have frozen it when it's been baked, and I've also frozen it before I baked it. So then you can just bring it out, let it thaw in your refrigerator, and then when you're ready to have your appetizer, it's all set to go. Now it calls for a large pie pan, which you can use, or you can use 2 small pans, which I'm going to do. And especially if you have just maybe a small dinner party and it's going to be too much to use, then you can use 2 smaller pans. Colorful dishes, it just makes everything look a little bit prettier. You don't have to, like, you know, smash it down too much. Just put it in there. And just get it all kind of leveled out a little bit in your dish. And when in a pinch, we have actually baked this in the microwave when we were in a hurry, and which works out pretty well too. But ordinarily you would bake it in a 375 degree preheated oven for 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how brown you would like to have it. And after you finish putting it in your pans, then you're going to top it with some more Parmesan cheese. And you can be quite generous with your cheese, which just makes it even cheesier, which comes out really nice after you bake it. Probably use a little bit more on that. And now I just happen to have one that just came out of the oven. So after it bakes, having that extra cheese on there, it should be lightly brown. It's a little bit brown, even more brown around the edges, and that's fine. And then you can have a variety of crackers. When this is already nice and cheesy, I don't always use Triscuits, but we can use some kind of Ritz cracker. I just get a generic cracker. Club crackers, you can even use like a sesame cracker. I just have some Ritz crackers out here along with some club crackers, and then you can just dip right in and it's good. Sometimes we even just put the crackers out and people will even put artichoke spinach dip on their cracker like that. This is my husband Gary, and in our last episode we made an olive dip for our good friend Dick Lensing from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So I have to tell you, it was a big hit. He felt really special that we made this just for him. And our wedding was last weekend on the 13th, and it was the most beautiful wedding. The weather was gorgeous, and it cooperated with all the events that they needed for their pictures outside, and everything was just wonderful. So I don't think we could ever replicate such a beautiful event. So until next time, this is Ruth and Gary from A Slice of Heaven. So happy cooking.
Nostrovia.